Have you ever wanted to take something from a video game and bring it into the real world? It's the premise for most of the projects on my channel. So when I was playing Tears of the Kingdom and saw these lanterns scattered throughout Link's house, I thought, I want to make that. And since I'm working on building Link's house in the game and in real life, this lantern is going to come in handy later. So let's make one. I started by designing the lantern out to get the dimensions of all the pieces to make it. To make this, you'll need 2 of these 3.5 inch by 10 inch pieces for the sides, 4 pieces at 2.5 inches by 6 inches with the 45-degree chamfer for the front and back, 4 pieces at 3.5 inches by 1 3/4 inches for the inside, a 3/4 inch piece that's 3/4 inches long with a 50-degree chamfer on each side, and 2 pieces at 2.5 inches long with a 40-degree chamfer on one end for the handle. 2 pieces at 3.5 inches by 4.5 inches for the top and bottom, and 4 pieces of acrylic at 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches with a 45-degree chamfer on both of the long sides. For the light, I'm using a 1-inch dowel, 3-foot COB LED strip, a 5-volt charging board, a battery, and a switch. To get started, you want to carve the designs into the sides and front and back pieces. I use transfer tape on the side pieces before carving to help with staining later. I carved the designs 1/4 inches deep for the side pieces and 1/8 of an inch deep for the front and the back pieces. Next, use some stain to darken the carvings on the side pieces. We're going to start working on the handle by gluing the pieces together and then cutting a channel into the top corners to add a spline. This is going to help make those joints stronger. Cut off the excess and smooth the joints down. I also used an edge trimmer to soften the edges. Grab your top and bottom pieces and mark the center of each. And then use a 1-inch bit to drill a hole for the dowel in the bottom piece and a magnet in the top piece. I also drilled holes in one side of the edge pieces and the 2 edges of the bottom piece. Using the handle as the guide, mark your top piece and carve out grooves for your handle piece to fit into. And then glue the pieces together. I used a biscuit joiner to add more stability to the lantern during assembly. Now, you don't have to do this, but it's an option. Then start gluing all the pieces together. Once the frame of the lantern is together, sand it all down. I'm using canary wood for this lantern, which is a pretty hard and splintery wood, so I decided to trim all the edges down to avoid splitting later. Now grab your acrylic pieces and glue them all together. Diffuse the acrylic with your method of choice. I chose to sand the outside of the acrylic till there was this nice even haze across each side. Then fit and glue the acrylic into the lantern. If you haven't done already, stain the Terrytown design on the front and the back pieces. and then use your finish of choice on the wood parts of the lantern. The last part to put together is the base with the lights. There are different ways to assemble this, but I chose to use magnets to secure the base to the lantern and the top part of the dowel to the inside of the top piece. Cut and strip your LEDs and solder them to the output of your 5-volt charging board. Solder your battery to the inputs, and then place a switch in between the charging board and your lights. After testing to make sure they turn on, glue all the parts of your base piece together and wrap the lights around the dowel. To be able to remove the base, I cut finger pulls into the base pieces. Once it's all together, your lantern is done. Every time I make a nightlight or something that lights up, my kids and I always enjoy using it. It's a functional way to add light to a space, and it will look great in its final home inside our next playhouse. Now that you know how to make one, go build one. And while you're at it, go build a good story.